Now that we have kind of that basic stuff out of the way, what we are going to start doing is going through in the Brain Buffet videos. They upload a number of pictures and then they make some minor adjustments. So we're going to kind of go through those fairly quickly. So the image that we're going to upload first is image 0030. This is something that I already opened up earlier. Let's collapse these really quickly. And so this photograph, what we're going to do is we're going to straighten it out. So right now, if you look in the foreground, this little brick platform is askew. It's not going straight across from left to right. It's at an angle. And so visually, it looks like it's off. And using the cropping tool, we'll be able to make some adjustments. And then we're going to use the spot healing brush. And with that, we are going to get rid of some of these people in here. And this is more about showing you the tool than it is, making these look exactly, there are going to be some blemishes in there. So, this isn't going to be something that I would do and then print out on a poster or something, because you're going to see some of those minor blemishes, at least on the level that we're doing this right now. So this is just a little show you tutorial. But also, I want to make sure that I'm covering some of the stuff that is going to be on the test. So the first thing, we have our toolbar on the left. And with the toolbar, this is the default one line with all the tools in there. This is what I like. But if you think it's like really big and in your way and you want to collapse it down a little bit, you can click this little double arrow and it just puts it into two columns. And that way it's, it's a little more condensed, easier to get to for some people if you'd like. This is also, the bar itself is all movable, so you can move these things around. So as you're working, if going all the way over to the left side to grab a tool and then going all the way over to the other side of your screen, if you want to get it over there so it's just like an easy, quick grab, then of course you can move this around the way you want. And then this is positionable. So you can see the little blue bar on the side. I'm just putting it over there and it's going to land back over there on the side. All of these tools, like if you click on, say this is the crop tool, we will be using this shortly. Every time we use a tool, up here we have the options menu. So it gives us the options that tool has. You can see this is the tool, the crop tool that's active. If I change that, if I go to the marquee tool, these are the actions for the marquee tool. If I take the move tool, these are the actions for the move tool. So all of that is in the options menu. This is on the test. Remember it. This up here, this is the menu bar. So menu, options, tool. Okay, so the other thing that's going to be on the test is we have all of these other windows over here, these panels. We can pop them open by clicking on them, and it shows you what they are. You can collapse them. You can pull them out and move them around. You can resize them. Maybe not this one. You can put them back. You can put them in different areas. You can pull them off. So layers, I know that you can move it up and down. So if you have a ton of layers, you can open it up so you can see them all. You can also drag this out so it shows you what it says. Properties panel, same thing. All of these can open up or collapse. And this is just for you to be able to see what's happening and collapse them so you have a lot of workspace. Part of what it also says in the video is if you take layers and you want to place it somewhere else, we're placing it to the side. You can see I'm launching it there, and you can pull it off. You can go back and let's see here. Let's pull this out. You can take it and combine it. So if I take that, so now I've got both of those together. So it's really, really, really customizable. Just collapse that down to there, and let me collapse that down to there. If you delete something, like I just deleted my layers panel, this happens all the time. Where did my layers panel go? Under window, you'll see all of the stuff in here. So if you wanted to get into your channels, you can click on that to open it up. If you go in here and so now my channels, if it's check marked, that means we have it in here already. Layers. Okay, so there's my layers panel. I'm just going to pump it right back there. All right, enough of that. So what we want to do is we want to take this, we're going to use the crop tool, and then we're going to click on the word straighten. So right now this is not highlighted. I guess you could click on that little icon too. You can click it on, you can click it off. You can click it on from the word straighten, click it off. As long as it's active. Now, what it's asking us to do is, where do you want it to straighten out from? So this is just a click and drag kind of action. So I'm just going to click and drag across the line where I want it to be straight. It gives us this little grid, and that looks good. We could grab it and move it around if you wanted to, because it does have to crop it. You can see that we're going to lose some of the edges because it's trying to stay inside of that frame. But this looks good to me. And then this little check mark is committing to the action. Commit to current crop operation, yes, and it is done. Okay. Open up your layers panel so you can see what's happening. What we are going, the other thing is, what we're going to do is, we need to zoom in and zoom out and see what's happening. And I'm just going to collapse my layers here. So this zoom tool and hand tool, these are really easy. Like if you were to click on there, you can just click and drag the area that you want to see. But it doesn't give you like a very specific dimension. So right now this is at 54%. And so if I double click the hand, I could click on the hand and I can move it around. But really, if you double click the hand, it zooms back out to full screen. If you double click the zoom tool, it zooms into 100%. Now, inside of here, if I want to move around, I could click on the hand and then move it, or I could click on the space bar, which gives me the hand, and I can move it around. And then if I double click the hand, it'll zoom back out. Okay, really quickly, get your zoom tool, double click on the zoom tool, and grab your space bar and move it around. We're going to get rid of this lady, and we're going to get rid of this scratch in the ground. And we're going to do that with the spot healing brush. So these tools with the tools that have the little triangle down on the bottom, they're like a drawer. And inside of that drawer, there's more tools. Right now, we're just going to use the spot healing brush, which gives us, it's a brush, so it gives us a size. Up here's the size. We can scale down. We can increase the size of the brush. We could increase the edges so they're they're hard or they're soft, so they're fuzzy or they're exactly round. Increase the hardness to about 50. Size we'll leave at 31 because we can always adjust it. And then you can see this brush size looks pretty good. So Maybe I'll increase it a little bit. Increase and decrease the brushes we're using are brackets. So right bracket makes it bigger, left bracket makes it smaller. Just getting the bracket or the brush size just as big as the lady here. And I'm going to click and drag around her. And Adobe does a great job of figuring out what the background is supposed to be. So that's an easy click, drag across what you want to get rid of. And in many cases, it's going to do a very good job. In some cases, it's not going to do a great job because there's a lot of other information. So let's see what this looks like here. See, you can kind of see the bush over here, like there's a bush in the path now. If I brush her over, so same kind of thing. We're just like, this is a crazy looking bush now. But the ladies did disappear. So if you wanted to go in here and make some edits like that, you can kind of go ahead and do that. And last thing, this is also going to be on the test. It's talking about destructive and non-destructive actions. So destructive means the original picture. We're making changes to that picture that forever changes it. For instance, we just used the spot healing brush to remove stuff from the original picture. If we do enough, or save it, we can't then redo it. So we're forever changing this picture. That means we have destroyed the original. It's a destructive action. A non-destructive action is something that is important too, because if we make some changes and we don't like them, we can always go back and undo them or click them off. And layer adjustments is a great way to do that. So in your layers panel, down on the bottom, we have this little half black, half white circle. If we click on that, it gives us a bunch of options. And let's do brightness and contrast. So if we click on it, it gives us this little slider. And, we're obviously changing the brightness and contrast. So contrast feels a little better than brightness. So I'm just going to try to put brightness back to 0. And then I just bump the contrast up. You could also do auto. Click on auto and it automatically makes an adjustment. But that's it. And then if you just collapse that panel, you can see that we have this layer. So it just added a layer adjustment. And if you say, oh, you know what, I don't like it, you can just turn it off. So that's the original. That's the adjusted. I like that. We made it a little more vibrant. That is it for this picture. So what we're going to do is we want to save it. I love saving things to the Creative Cloud. So if you go to File, Save As, we're going to save to Cloud Documents. We're going to name it we'll name it Test Prep Video 1, and then hit Save. And now we want to export. So in the previous video, we talked about, setting up the preferences for exporting, but this time we're going to go to File and we want to export. Let's go to Export As first. We know there's Export Preferences. We already kind of set that up in the last video. But Export As gives us a bunch of cool options. We'll give it a second. You can see that it's the default format is PNG. If you want it to save as something else, after it loads up, you'll be able to see that there's a few different options. Okay, so in here we can change it to JPEG or GIF, but we're going to keep it JPEG. Even though this is a solid image, leaving it transparent, no harm, no foul. What I want to show you is we can save it as multiple files. So one action will save it multiple variations. So for this instance, I'm going to save it at a quarter of the size. Right now it's 1x, which means it's the same size as we've designed it. So if you designed it as an 8.5 by 11, it's going to save at 8.5 by 11. 0.25, that's a quarter, so it's going to be, if it's 4 times smaller. And then we can hit this add button and we say, oh, I want another one that's 1/10 the size. And then we hit export. We're saving it to, I made a folder on my desktop called Brain Buffet Sample Files. I can select that folder and it's going to export to that folder. So now if I go into my desktop and I go into Brain Buffet Sample Files, I did this yesterday. You can see test prep video. I have one at 1/10 the size and one at a quarter the size. And there you have it. That is it for this video.